Welcome to Coming Up Roses. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Kelly, and this is your Saturday, April 9th edition, episode 56 of Coming Up Roses. Happy April, everybody.
Yep, April is finally here. Spring is sprung. Weather's being all weird, but, what are you going to do?
Spring break has broken, finally.
Yeah.
It broke before me, so that's good.
You've got a whole week off. I've got most of the week off.
Yeah, a little snafu there. We had a whole week.
Yeah, but then my schedule changed and I goofed up, so it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
So, we went on a little adventure.
This morning, to do something different, because, this week we're going to try to be adventurous.
I don't know how adventurous we're going to... Yeah. Our definition of adventurous is, different than probably most people.
Yeah. So Kelly has been following this donut truck. Not like she's not in the car following behind. She's following them on Facebook and has been real curious about it. It's a local business. What's the name of it?
Classic Donuts.
Yeah. So she decided today we'll drive out and she found out where they were going to be and give it a try. It's a good little adventure. They were out at the Ocean View, and it was a nice little drive. And then we
on the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. It was a nice little area. Norfolk is a little weird. I don't spend a whole lot of time in Norfolk, but it's kind of a weird mixed bag of, like, here's government housing across the street from folks that obviously have a ton of money. So.
Well, I think Norfolk has been revitalizing Ocean View.
Yeah.
And for a long time, Ocean View didn't have the greatest of reputations.
Yeah.
And so... they're trying to spruce the city up, and so it looks as though, and honestly, it's probably the first time I've ever been past Little Creek Road in whatever I can remember. But yeah, it's really expensive looking homes next to, like, really not expensive looking places. It's an interesting, eclectic mix.
Yeah.
Of shops and people, which I guess is good. That's what you want. You want a mix of everything.
And it's a lot more, the ratio to, canned places like McDonald's and I guess chain places to, locally owned is in favor of the locally owned there, which is nice. It's very nice.
Okay, so, is this where you're going? I said, hey, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of craving trying these Classic Donuts. If you're in the area, it's Classic with a K. Follow them on Facebook. A little expensive, but it's not something you do all the time. But anyway, found the little food truck out in front of this little coffee shop on First View Street.
Yeah, which the little shopping center that's in. It's across from a shopping center that's got like a grocery mart and I think it was a Wendy's or whatever. Whatever it was. But
Details
next to the coffee shop was a comic book shop, which I thought was interesting. You don't see very many of those nowadays. And obviously a locally owned nail shop.
Right. So I said, hey, wow, we're here getting donuts. Let's just get our morning coffee from this little coffee shop.
Yeah.
So Kevin comes back to the car. The donuts we got, they have a 2-2-2 package. 2 glazed, 2 strawberry glazed, 2 cinnamon sugar. $12.50 for 6 donuts, which I was just like, holy crap. But worth it because the donuts are
they're very big donuts.
You really can't eat more than one donut.
And they're really, when we talked about Freddy's Donuts and how good the consistency was, crispy and soft, they've got it nailed there too.
Yeah, yeasty donuts. Anyway, so Kevin comes back and he was like, the donuts, what?
It just occurred to me that this is the second time we're reviewing donuts on our show. Yeah.
Kevin gets back in the car with the 2 cups of coffee and he goes, the donuts were $12.50. I was like, yeah. He goes, the coffee was $12. And that is the size coffee cup.
2 of these.
2. That's the name of the little place.
In comparison, because the coffee was
we didn't like it.
This is $5 at Starbucks.
Then we went to Starbucks because neither one of us could drink the other coffee. And we spent less at Starbucks for twice as much coffee.
Yeah.
So for people who say Starbucks is overpriced,
Yeah.
you're a little independent coffee shops are, I guess they have to be. I mean, it's not like you're walking into a 7-Eleven and getting coffee.
Yeah.
So if you're going for fancy coffee.
A lot of hipsters.
Anyway, so we really liked the donuts, really did not like the coffee.
Yeah.
So we ended up back at Starbucks for our coffee. But it got us to thinking about, then coming back from there, we went a different route. And we ended up getting, there was a road closure, and so we turned. And we ended up in a part of Virginia Beach that, as a near lifelong resident of Virginia Beach, I don't think I'd ever been in.
I have definitely never been in.
And we were not quite sure how to get out of there. I'm not going to get into the details because I'm sounding like an idiot. But
yeah, it was
right area. Off of Chesapeake Bay and the Lynnhaven Inlet and all. Really, really pretty.
Yeah, the houses were all very nice. Not like crazy money nice, but nice.
I'm sure they're crazy money nice.
There probably is crazy money. The thing I realized, and I guess it's like not a necessity. There was usually you go into some of these super nice neighborhoods with the super rich people is that they all have manicured yards. Like that neighborhood behind the vet, they all have manicured yards. This place did not have a lot of manicured yards. Well, these people,
but they're right on the water. They literally can put their boats in the water right in their backyard. They don't have much of a front yard.
Yeah.
The houses weren't huge, but I bet you they were.
They were probably
very
immaculate
expensive.
Inside. Yeah.
Just the location. Probably makes them really expensive.
And they probably have a natural safety because there is only one way in and out. Because what are you going to do? Rob the place and then get in the car and drive away?
Yeah, I'm sure there's not much crime in that area. But it was kind of nice. It got us to thinking about the neighborhoods and, the area of Virginia Beach that I went to high school in was in the wealthier end of town. And my family was not. We rented a house, in the neighborhood, probably the furthest distance, but still in that school zone. But our neighborhood now is a good mix of, I would say the neighborhood we live in now is there's a lot of comings and goings with military people.
Yeah.
Because we're very, very close to the
Oceana
master.
Yeah, we have a few
base,
rental houses around us.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of rental houses in here.
Yeah. Our house and the house next to ours behind us here
and the one in the cul-de-sac.
And the one in the cul-de-sac. They were originally built by, this used to be all farmland, and they were originally built for the farmers' daughters. And they moved the houses here from when they built, I guess,
They were
General
closer
Booth.
to General Booth originally, and they moved them back.
And because they built General Booth, right? So they moved them here?
I don't know the specific history.
This is when your dad would have been great if he was sitting here with us. But they moved them here, and then they have all these smaller houses built around us. So that kind of stings a little bit because when they do assessments, I guess it helps us with the taxes though because we're assessed off of those houses' value.
Our neighborhood is strange. When we first looked at this house, when we turned into the neighborhood, I immediately was like, these houses are going to be too small for what we're looking for. Because the houses toward the front of our neighborhood are...
Dink.
They're not dink. They're small. They're like starter family type houses. Starter homes, whatever they want to call those things. And when we got back here, our house is a ranch. And it's, 2,400 square foot, 4-bedroom ranch. Original, built in 1969, which is way older than the houses around us, except for the ranch behind us, and then the farmer's house in the cul-de-sac, which are originals. But if you go back further, these houses are bigger and different than the ones in the front.
Yeah. Because they were probably built early on. Yeah.
But anyway, we've had some interesting stories. I mean, it's a nice, quiet neighborhood. There's only one way in and out, and it's clear on the other side of the neighborhood. So we don't get a lot of traffic back here.
Now, for frame of reference, when I was coming up, the street I lived on, across the street was my uncle and aunt and their kids. So I had cousins across the street, and then there were two old ladies that lived next to us, and then the high school at the time at the end of the street, and the bus garage. So not a whole lot of people running around. The part of town I was in was not heavily populated. So when I left Suffolk to move here, it was kind of a cultural shock for me because there was always a lot more people around on the neighborhood just walking around, which is a little, I was like, oh, okay.
You're just not used to living in a developed neighborhood.
Right. So one day when I'm coming home from work, it was just so odd. I was like, there's a naked baby running around in that yard.
We called that kid Naked Baby for a long time.
We did. He was like, it couldn't.
He wasn't naked. He had
old.
A diaper on.
No, the first time I saw him, he was full blown, no diaper, naked. I was like, naked baby's running around the yard. Now every other time he's had a diaper on, but that first time it was a big shock for me. I was like, there's just a naked baby running around in the yard. And I didn't
probably
see
like graduated from high school.
By now he's absolutely graduated high school because this is 15 years ago, 16 years ago. I was just like, what is going on in this neighborhood? That was the start. More fun stuff has happened since then.
I mean, we don't have a crime rate really.
No.
It's just interesting. One interesting thing, and this is actually one of my very favorite things about living here.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the corner of a cul-de-sac, and then the street that runs along the side of our house is the last street in the neighborhood, and it's nothing but woods behind it. And then on the other side of the woods is like
it's not even
a veterinary place and a boarding, like they board dogs. And then there's the Hunt Club Farms, which they do all kinds of. It's like a vegetable. It used to be just a little vegetable stand, but now it's like a full blown thing. They have a petting zoo and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In October, they do a haunted forest.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get all the sound effects from the haunted forest. We get the screaming and the chainsaws and the smoke billowing in out of the thing. And it really puts like this October, Halloween, fall mood in the neighborhood for me. Even though we don't see it or anything, but we get the soundtrack of Halloween, which is kind of cool.
It is nice. That part of it is nice. And they used to have, and I think I didn't see her this year, but there was usually some girl that would ride around on a horse in the neighborhood.
A headless horseman.
A headless horseman, yeah.
Yeah, she hasn't been around in a long time.
Yeah.
Because they do keep horses and stuff over there too.
But every now and again we'll get the odd animal that would show up in the neighborhood.
Peacocks.
One time peacocks, like 12 peacocks were all in the road. And a bunch of them jumped on your mom's van. Mm-hmm. That was fun. But yeah, I mean that's kind of cool. Every now and again.
Wasn't there piglets or something?
Yeah.
What was Michael chasing in the?
I think it was a piglet.
Was it a pig? I can't remember. There was some animal Michael was chasing.
Might have been a goat. Could have been a goat.
I don't know. Sometimes they get loose.
Yeah.
But we've had, we did have a hostage situation.
Yeah. So
in the neighborhood one day.
Before I started working from home, one day Mike left out to go to work before I did, and they had the road blocked off, the street blocked off, dozens and dozens of cars blocking off the street, and obviously they were blocking this house off, and apparently inside the house, some guy decided he was going to hold up in his house, and he had a hostage. But they ended it, no one got hurt, and the guy gave up, and I think I don't even know if he did any real time over it. It was just one of those deals where he went a little nutty, and when they got him in there and got him calmed down, he was all right, I guess. But Jesus, it's just one of those things you see a real deal full-blown hostage situation. Like,
that happened.
That was a long time ago.
Where I grew up, too.
Really?
The street behind me. Mm-hmm.
You have so many weird things like that happen. Like, seriously, like she's telling me stories about, like, the one time that we had to evacuate a hotel. She's had to evacuate 3 hotels for fires. Fire alarms.
Probably more than that.
Yeah.
Because 1 or 2 have been with you.
Yeah. 1.
And then I've had multiples. I feel like it's been more than just 1 with you. Maybe it's just hotel traumas we have.
Yeah, I mean, we've had tons of hotel issues, but Only one evacuating for a fire alarm.
Remember the guy who put the big sign up that said, "My wife does not run a brothel"?
My wife does not run a brothel. She's not a whore. The sign said whore on it. And it was up there for weeks. Wavy came by and like filmed it. It was great.
After that, like every Halloween after that, he would put a scarecrow, but there'd be 2 pumpkins as the scarecrow's ass, and it looked like the scarecrow was mooning the neighbors across the street.
Like that guy held a grudge.
But there's also a really cool Christmas light show in our neighborhood too.
Yeah.
I think he even made the map. You know that map we follow?
Oh, that's good.
It
deserves it. That guy's house is fantastic.
Cool. Little teeny house back at the end of the road back there. You'd never know it was there. But boy, he does his whole house up in lights. It's really cool.
Yeah. Behind us, there was a day, I think the cops were looking for somebody, and they were out in force with AKs, just hunting this guy down, and then they left. So I was like, all right, well, I guess we're all right. They just left. So that was a fun day.
We had someone in the cul-de-sac commit suicide or
they
murder.
said it was suicide. It was kind of ambiguous, but
yeah,
if it was
And I started this off by saying we have such a nice not crime.
It is. It really is. But all this kind of weird shit happens.
I mean, I've been here 20 some years, so over the course of the time I've been here, there's a handful of things.
Let us know in the comments if anybody's been murdered in your neighborhood.
That you know about.
That you know about. What else? There was this is one of my favorites. When I was in the car with my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and you, and we were heading out to go somewhere. And I was looking at this one house where I know this old lady lives. And I was like, why are there a bunch of buzzards in the chimney? And my mother-in-law stops the car. She's like, oh my God, I hope she's okay. And I said, yeah, well, I don't know, maybe they smell something in the chimney. And she's like, should you go up? She said, should you, meaning me, go up to the house and see if she's all right? I was like, hell no, I ain't going up to that house to see if she's all right. Because there's no good ending to that. Either one, I go up and I find the dead body. Nope, that's not it. That's not going to happen. I'm going to find the dead body. If I smell something weird, I'm calling the cops and I'm out. Or 2, she's alive. I knock on the door. She answers the door. Sorry to bother you, man. There's some buzzards up at your house. We wanted to make sure you were still alive.
Maybe she killed someone and tried to burn them in the fireplace.
Then that's a third bad option. Because now Fat Boy's got on her trail. So she's going to have to murder Fat Boy right in front of her. So there was no good outcome for me if I knocked on that door. None. That's not going to happen. Your sister started laughing at the situation because there's no way, there's no good ending to that situation. Yeah. So she ended up being all right, just so you know.
I mean, the good ending would have been if she was dying and you went in and saved her.
Yeah, well.
That would have been a good ending.
Yeah, I'm not that guy.
But we'll never know.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah. Well, maybe that is true because this morning when we were leaving, we have these Muscovy ducks that live in our neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And they come up to the house frequently. They've come into our garage before. They're like friendly.
And I'll
not
throw
afraid
feed
of
out
people.
For them. I'll throw feed out for them.
Yeah, not at all afraid of people. And so we got in the car today and we're backing out, and usually there were like 2 or 3 of them together. One Muscovy duck like quickly walking through the yard to the driveway. And Kevin said, oh, it looks like he's got something hanging out of the side of his mouth, whatever. Continues to back up and drive away. And I was like, what if he's gotten caught up in some like fishing line and he was running up to us for help? He saw us and he was like, oh, they can help me. And Kevin's like, well, whatever. He keeps driving. We didn't even get out of the neighborhood. I'm like, you need to turn around and go back because that duck might have been coming to us for something that he needed help for. Mm. And
spoiler alert, he didn't need our help.
We came all the way back and he basically told us to screw off. And he didn't have anything hanging out of his mouth.
He said, duck off.
But Kevin, it took me to turn him around to check on the duck. He didn't care. We come home, find the duck
It's
dead.
not that I didn't care. It's just like, okay, it was a situation where I was like, all right, there ain't but so much I can do about it. I do what I can, and in that moment, what I could do was drive the hell on because there's not anything. Because if I walk up on the duck, he's going to walk away from him. What am I going to do? Run?
If he's really hurt and looking for help, he won't walk away from you.
Okay, but if he starts walking away from me,
Which is what he did.
Right.
And then how did that hurt you in any way?
All right.
I would still be wondering what happened to the duck.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be thinking it was floating in the little lake or something over there.
Here's a little story about my wife. That's one of the things I love.
Are you not going to tell? You're not going to tell that story about the guys working on the side of the road?
Oh, I am. So we're driving along. We were going by where the courthouse is. There's a long stretch of road with they're building up houses and whatnot, and there's a long, nice little walkway. And along this walkway is a dog, just trotting along. And Kelly's like, "Oh my God, we need to turn around and make sure that dog's okay." So I'm like, "All right." So we turn around and the dog's gone. It's back in the neighborhood, so the dog's all right. Great. All right. We've done our bit. Driving back, and we're coming up on the cops in the work detail where they have people that are doing
This is gonna
like
make
30
me sound
days.
like the worst person.
There's these group of 5 guys, and one of them, swear to God, just falls in front of us. Just not in the street. He just falls down into the ground. And Kelly's like, "That guy just fell out." I said, "You want to stop?" She said, "Nah, he's got people there. Let's go move on."
But he was right. I was true. I knew the guy was just tired and like
Heat stroked right there in front of him. But he had people there. There were guards, so it's all right.
What am I gonna do? They're prisoners.
There you go.
I get out of my car and approach one of them. I'm liable to get shot in the face.
There you go. You're right. I'm 100%
Because the cop's probably gonna think I'm trying to help him
saying
escape.
you did the right thing.
But yeah, here you are, years later, shaming me.
I'm not shaming you. Why you got shame? Everybody's like,
Why?
I would have
Because
done
I
the
cared
same
more
thing.
about the well-being of the dog than the person.
All right, leave a comment saying what would you do in both situations. Would you try to find the dog? Would you pass the jailbird
If the
bomb?
guy was by himself
Yeah,
and
I mean,
no
he had
one was
people
around, I
him,
saw
right.
him DFO, I probably would have pulled over to help him. But there were plenty of people around him.
Yeah. DFO is done fell out. That guy done fell out. That's from your sister Jen.
Yeah, it's official hospital jargon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that.
So that's our neighborhood. It's a nice little quirky neighborhood. Kids come around
It's not even
for
that quirky. It's just
Halloween and whatnot. Most of them are pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
We still have kids that play in the yards, like they play football in
bothers
the yard.
Kevin.
Not so much.
Kevin's gonna be the old man who's yelling out, "Get out of my yard!"
The only time it really bothered me was when they would climb the tree.
Well,
And
when
I
the
did
tree
yell at
fell
them,
that time, we had Bradford pears, which
Yeah.
you know the wind blows 8 miles an hour and they fall over. And they were climbing in the fallen tree.
Yeah.
And we did stop them.
But when they crawl into this one too, I told them to get. I told
Well,
them
yeah,
to
because
get out
that's
of
a
the tree.
new tree. We just planted it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't really play in the yard much anymore.
They don't do it
They've-
in. Well,
they've
they're
kind
all
of
grown
outgrown
now.
it. Yeah.
Like we've kind of watched their little dramas out in the street. You know, kids playing, and then next thing you know, the boys and the girls are.
That's another girl. That's
Pairing up.
another one we forgot when we were doing our nickname
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Hula hoop girl.
Hula hoop
Across
girl,
the-
yeah.
There's a girl lives across the street from us. She's probably
She's got to be grown by now.
out of high school by now. But when she was younger, she used to hula hoop, and she could and she'd go out at night and she'd have ones that lit up,
Mm-hmm.
and she could hula hoop her little ass.
Yeah.
We'd be mesmerized, like,
Doing
holy
tricks
crap.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah. So what do you got this week? Topics?
One of the things I thought was interesting this week, I finally met my new boss, which the first time I was supposed to meet my new boss, I ended up calling out because of some stuff. But so I finally got to meet her and we're talking.
You're just making all kinds of great first impressions with her, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I doubt she's watching the show.
No, I doubt it either.
Yeah.
Continue.
Anyway, so she seems nice enough. She's I'm pretty sure we're going to be all right working together. But she's like listening to my calls. She did something I thought was interesting. Is a lot of times when you're talking to a supervisor and they're talking about your calls or whatever, they'll talk about the stuff you're not doing great. She focused on what you are doing great. and then she'll say you might want to do this as it might help along, which I thought worked well, and it actually did very well for me because one of the things she said I did well, that if I did more of that, it would bump my scores up, and I did that, and it actually did. Was we basically talk about the product and how you use it, and because the call that she listened to that she said I did so great on was I was talking to a customer about HBO Max, and I said, well, the HBO Max app from the Contour box is my favorite of all the streaming apps, and it is. And I started talking about the stuff that's on there, and it was mostly because of Impractical Jokers.
Really? They bumped your score up in your job performance?
Yeah. So
Sweet.
I got to thinking about, the various streaming apps. And I'm kind of curious, and then, again, I'm asking for a lot of comments, but what is your favorite streaming system? Like or service, I should say. Because we've had Netflix since Netflix was started. Of course, everybody does. And then we've fairly recently got Hulu, which is all right. The content, the hunting things down in Hulu is not easy. I'm not a big fan of their layout, and they don't have a whole lot of stuff that I can't live without. HBO, because we get HBO for free, I like a lot. They have a lot of good content. They have all the HBO shows, plus they have a bunch of older shows, including, like I said, all the Impractical Jokers. They have a lot of classic Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like the old Flintstones. They have the old Scooby-Doo, the original Scooby-Doo cartoons. That's really cool. A bunch of DC Comics cartoons and stuff, movies. So that's good stuff. That's a good streaming service to have. But there's just a ton of them. Peacock is good. Peacock is free for the most part. If you pay a little bit into it, you don't get commercials. But that's a good thing.
We're not sponsored by any of these
No,
services.
we're not. But it just got me thinking. There's all these
doing
streaming
a commercial
services, and they're I think that's obviously the way things are done now, and the progression of television technology. It went from when I was a kid, you had 3 channels, and your kid was a remote control. I was a remote control. To now you've got tons of channels, but most part people are doing everything through streaming now. They're not really watching a whole lot of live TV. And you touched on this a little bit, that you don't even watch the streaming stuff because you're.
The pandemic killed television for me.
Yeah, so that's kind of what got me on this track.
Now I'm just, I don't binge anything. I can't binge watch things. I can binge watch things that don't need my attention. Like, it can stay on all day, and but I don't know. I'm just not into television anymore.
Yeah, I get that. Like, we could throw on. I get what you're saying, because if we put on the Impractical Jokers, like if they were doing a marathon on True, which they certainly are, or if we just put it on HBO Max and just had it run, she might glance up because there's a particular funny bit that she loves. But the next funny bit, she's just back into doing whatever she was doing beforehand. She doesn't have to pay, because it's not story related. Yeah,
and I used to love good story related stuff. Not anymore. I just can't get into it anymore.
Yeah.
Speaking of Impractical Jokers, they came back for their final season 8, season 9. Anyway, the first episode without Joe.
First episode.
Did we talk about that last week?
Talked about it a little bit, but.
Yeah, so, well, I know you probably don't know this, but the new supervisor you have, has she always been in, how long has she been with the company? Any idea?
I don't know how long she's been with the company. She did give me a little bit of her history.
Has she ever been in education?
No, she probably has not.
It's always good when you're starting an evaluation or a review or whatever to start with positive things first. And then slip into things that need work on, and then finish with the positive things. It's called sandwiching.
Well, Don did that a little bit, but
I mean, they've probably all been trained to do that.
Yeah, well.
But it was good for her to say, "I really liked how you did this. You should do that on all your calls, and your will increase." And then it did.
Yeah.
Whereas just straight saying, "This is what I heard you do," it seems like she's at least interested in you getting your scores up, which is good.
Like I said, I'm really liking her style.
That's
and good. the team vibe is different than it was with Phil. It's a little closer to what I had with Don, and that team vibe. That team vibe seemed a little tighter knit than Phil's team.
That's good. See,
Which
everything happens.
I
for a reason.
associated that with the pandemic because most of the people, I mean, I've been working from home for what, like 10 years now, right?
Longer than that.
Yeah. But most of the people that I've worked with have working in the office. Well, now we're all working from home. So my thought was with Phil's team that they weren't a tight-knit team just because they weren't together, you know. But this team seems like they're in the chat, and she's in the chat. They're talking about whatever, not just work stuff. Yes, baby girl, it's okay.
Mom and Dad must be coming home.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a question for you.
Oh, she's got a question.
We went out today. You made a comment about when you went in to buy the coffee, and they kind of strong-armed you a little bit into tipping.
Yeah.
So there's this article from the New York Post about guilt tipping. Pressure to tip everywhere. And just glancing through it, this sticks out in my mind. I was somewhere spending $23 on just coffee and pastries, and the suggested tip was another $8. And I simply said, no way. So they're saying now that most people, when you pay, like even at restaurants, a lot of times you're paying by tablet, they give you that
That's what happened here.
suggested tip.
Both of them had the same thing. You had a screen, and it was like a tablet. The one at the coffee shop was a full-blown tablet.
Right.
And then the other one had a smaller, but it was still like a tablet.
Right.
And you put your card on it to pay, and then it would pop up with a screen that would say, you know, X percent and how much money it was, X, and then higher.
Yes.
And then it would say no tip. And it just seemed like the no tip was just a little bit smaller.
Well, of course they want tips.
Yeah.
So here's my question. I notice when I see those things that the suggested tips are like 20%, 22%, 25%. So do you custom tip? Who do you tip? Okay, first, this is another thing. We go to Starbucks a lot. Sometimes we tip, sometimes we don't tip. We got scolded by Starbucks recently for placing an order through their mobile and showing up to the store too fast to pick it up.
They didn't get a tip.
But then the second, now I'm like anxious. So I order at school before I leave. It literally takes me 2 minutes to get this to Starbucks, but it's an 8-minute window. I'm literally driving there, sitting in their parking lot. I mean, it would behoove me more just to order through the thing, but I earn point anyway. Whatever. That's beside the point. Places like Chick-fil-A, you place your order, they don't even think about making your drink until you show up. And then if something happens on your way to Chick-fil-A and you can't get there, you just cancel the order. Starbucks needs to do that with their app, but that's beside the point. We were talking about tipping.
Mm-hmm.
When you order pizza, you tip your driver.
Usually about $2. That's
so
the standard $2.
They
extra.
charge you
a delivery
fee, and then you tip your driver. So when you order...
And just a little side thing. I try to do cash because the government shouldn't get any bit of anybody's tips. So do cash and they
He
have
couldn't
no way
do
of
it.
tracking.
He physically can't get through a conversation. He has been on my nerves so much this week. Like, even I was like, God, I'm being a total bitch to you right now, but you are so annoying me. It even happened in the car. He can't help himself, people.
I really can't.
Anyway. Who all do you tip? Like, do you...
Obviously, sit-down waitresses. When you're at a place and you sit down, you certainly tip.
So if you order takeout, like you go to Outback and you're ordering takeout, you just going in picking it up, do you tip?
See, I would think no, because you don't tip the guy at McDonald's, and that's essentially what they're doing.
Right.
They are doing the exact same thing as the McDonald's guy, but so is the guy at Starbucks. The guy at Starbucks is doing the exact same thing that the guy at McDonald's is doing. So, yeah, I mean...
Especially if they're making, like, a normal wage. Not the waitresses make like $3 an hour, some
Yeah.
ridiculous thing, and their income is all coming from their tips.
Yeah.
So that I mean, I don't think that's right either. But do the kitchen? See, I just don't know. Do the kitchen staff
Kitchen
make
staff
the
makes
same
really-
kind of money that waitresses make?
No, they make regular wage.
They make wages. Okay. So do you tip them? I just don't know.
At a sit-down
You
restaurant,
feel like
yes.
an asshole if you don't.
Well, in the case today, I tipped because they did have the screen, and they there is that little bit of pressure. You know, you got a line of people watching you. Do you hit no tip and you look like an asshole in front of a line full of people? So you just tip. Now I did the minimum.
You got guilt tipped.
I got guilt tipped. Now I will say that the coffee shop had, you know, it in percentages, and they started with 15%. The thing at the coffee shop was, it was like 15%, you know, okay. And then it literally said okay under the 15%, and then, you know, under the 20%, it was like, okay, well, like, you know, and then when it got up to the 5%, it was like, wow, you know, it wrote little expressions under each of the percentages.
But did it give you an option for custom tip? Like if you just wanted to leave a couple of dollars?
I guess it did. I didn't pay that close of attention. That's the other thing. If you want to do a custom tip, that's going to take time. And again, you're standing in front of a line full of people that are judging you.
Even when we order Chinese food, they give the little tip option.
Mm-hmm.
And I always go with the 20% just because.
And that's why the girl never waits for a tip when I'm here. Like,
Right,
I'll go
because
out
I
and I'll
pay
just hand
ahead
her
of
food.
time.
Yeah.
I pay her ahead of time. But, yeah. Here's another question I have about tipping. So I know you go to a hair salon and you get your hair cut and you tip your stylist.
Mm-hmm.
But what if your stylist is like running their own business? Do you still tip them? If it's their business?
I would say yes, just because of protocol.
I mean, I do. My hairstylist runs her own out of her home.
Yeah. But I would say as a matter of protocol, because you're figuring that this is their price, this is their overhead plus profit, and that gives them just their bare minimum overhead plus profit. The little extra you give them is your special thanks for taking care of me in a special way that you didn't have to. You went above and beyond. So for your hairstylist, this is somebody that you have kind of a relationship with. You throw a little extra buckets their way.
Right.
So, and that makes sense to me anyway. But again, it's different than when they've got a machine there just throwing that out there. Do you want to tip? This is what you should tip. You know, so there is a little bit of guilt tipping there involved. But yeah, it's hard to say. Like, again, when you go back to the idea of you don't tip the guy at McDonald's, what that guy standing in front of you at McDonald's is doing is just ringing it up, handing.
Well, yeah, and that's what
food.
this woman said. I don't tip people who are just doing their jobs by doing counter work. Like in a bakery, if they're just giving me a loaf of bread, I'm not going to tip them for that.
Yeah.
I never tip people who are counter people that just bring me something I can get myself. These are not my words as I'm reading this.
Now, a lot of places will have a tip jar, and I would assume if it's a tip jar that it's split up between everybody. That's my assumption.
Well, I know on Starbucks, even if you tip on the app, that all goes into a
Like a jar.
Yeah, I mean they split those tips.
Okay. So that kind of makes sense, I guess. So you end up paying somebody to do work for you that had nothing to do with your item. But
yeah, but
it is what it is.
these tipping suggestions is of 20, 30, 35%. I mean, I know 15 is your standard.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever tipped only 10%, I'd feel like a heel.
Yeah.
Like 10% just is not, to me, it's below standard.
Yeah.
15 feels about right. 20 is what I usually do.
Yeah.
Unless it's really just
Stupid expensive.
not stupid expensive, but just the service wasn't great.
I
If
know-
the service isn't great, I generally stick to a 15% tip.
I know the biggest tip we ever laid out was at Ruth's Chris. And that guy,
Oh, yeah, but
that was an expensive meal.
the other thing is you have to be careful at restaurants that they aren't figuring out their tip based on the price after taxes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they'll do that. You know, like instead of just, if I order a $10 meal, then I should pay a tip on a $10 meal. not the 25% tax or whatever I'm going to get on top of it. What?
A couple birds were fighting in the tree.
Birds. They're birds in the tree. It's spring.
Fighting. Oh, I get they're probably doing something. They're probably not fighting.
Anyway, tip everybody. I don't know. Do you tip Uber drivers?
I don't.
I've never used Uber.
Tip.
I don't know.
When I was an Uber driver for that day, I didn't get any extra tip.
They tip you through the app or anything like that? They just don't get it. You don't get a tip.
Yeah. I think you can tip through the app.
You can tip like taxi drivers though.
Yeah. Well, usually people like keep the change. They hand them a couple bucks, and then instead of them figuring out chisel change, they just say keep the change, and
I haven't heard that in a while. That expression of yours is almost dying away because we don't use cash anymore.
Yeah.
Chisel
change.
change.
Chisel change. No one ever. Coinage is not a thing anymore. They have signs all over the place now that there's a coin shortage. Please use exact change or card. So.
And it's awfully hard to teach kids coins. They don't get it.
Yeah.
Take it from someone who knows. All right. Well, I don't have anything else this week, Kevin. We're at 42 minutes almost.
All right.
So.
Well, we'll skip this and we'll do some theticals.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back. And we're back. And we're going to do Would You Rather.
Would you rather? So I have some would you rather questions.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future?
The 10 minutes would be much more handy, I think, as a daily. Because if you see 100 some odd years in the future, you're going to see, inevitably, you're going to see some shit you like and mostly shit you don't like. So then you're like working the rest of your life to prevent the shit from happening 150 years from now, and you're going to fail. You're definitely going to fail. The 10 minutes from now, that's handy. You can sit there and look at like stock prices or see who's going to win the race at a racetrack and then bet. You know, that's handy.
I hadn't thought about it that way. I was thinking like in my everyday life, do I want to look 10 minutes into the future of this kid throwing a temper tantrum in my classroom and then knowing, God, I'm going to have to deal with that in 10 minutes.
Then you can prevent it, though.
Oh, yeah? Can I?
Well, you can't, but... Well, just because she's got
nothing I do prevents
kids.
The temper tantrum, so
yeah,
I can't.
But if you're looking 150 years in the future, first of all, you're definitely already dead.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
So
is everybody you know and love.
Yeah. So like even your
I guess the 10 minutes. If I got to choose when I saw 10 minutes into the future,
yeah.
Like, do you get the choice of when you get that, or do you just always know 10 minutes ahead what's coming?
I would say you get to pick and choose when it happens.
If you could pick and choose when you want to see 10, then I would do that.
Yeah. And then you go to the track.
You could rake it in at the track.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would
Vegas?
be so awesome.
Vegas! Then to Vegas!
Oh, yeah. And then my luck, we'd head to Vegas and the plane would crash on the way there and we'd be like, why didn't I pick that when I got on that plane to see 10 minutes?
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? You get on the plane and you got 10 minutes and your first 10 minutes of your flight are great. But that 15-minute mark...
That's right. You're like, okay, everything's good 10 minutes at the plane.
But if you're on the plane and you're like, let me check 10 minutes ahead. Fuck, we're heading down.
And there's nothing you can do. That would suck.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are downsides to the 10 minutes.
I mean, you'd have to have really good control over it. Like, it wouldn't just be, I wonder what's going to happen in 10 minutes, and then suddenly you can see it. Like, you'd have to be able to turn it on and off. Mm-hmm. Like, you'd have to have some kind of chant you have to go through or something to actually be able to see it, to activate. Yeah. Would you rather have telekinesis, the ability to move things with your mind, or telepathy, the ability to read minds?
Ooh. See, the reading minds, if you're nefarious, that is a great way.
Yes, but you're not nefarious.
Yeah, I'm not nefarious. I'd probably want to do telekinesis.
And for a lazy person like me, telekinesis is better.
Yeah. I think you'd be more helpful.
I don't want to know what people really think.
I think you'd be more helpful to people around you with telekinesis. You know, but...
What if you could have telekinesis and I could have telepathy? Together, we could rule the world.
There you go. Yeah.
Definitely the ability to move things. I'd work on my legs.
Mm-hmm.
I say as I sit here in pain. Would you rather team up with Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel? This is definitely a you question because I have no clue.
Goddamn, same basic power set, really. They're at the same level power-wise. I would think Wonder Woman would be more interesting to talk to because she's got ages and ages of more history, and she'd just be more. She's a more interesting character than Carol Danvers, who's just like a normal person with superpowers. Yeah.
You would think I would know all about this stuff. I've been married to a comic nerd, a savant,
I
comic
honestly
savant.
don't throw it down your throat, though.
For 15 years, you would think I would have.
You would absorb.
At least I knew Captain Marvel was a female.
Yeah.
I did know that.
She wasn't always a female.
Did you make a decision though? Which one?
Wonder Woman.
Okay.
I think to talk to, she'd be a much more interesting person. I think. Because
Should say it's not a W.
Yeah. She would say it's a W. So.
Would you rather be in jail for 5 years or be in a coma for a decade?
I would think that, not getting gang raped in the prison would be worth the coma. So I'll say.
I just finished reading this book called Sometimes I Lie.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is a mystery story. But it's told from a woman, but like she's in a coma. She's completely pretty much aware of herself being, she doesn't know what happened to her. But she has thought, she knows people are in the room with her, she can hear what they're saying, but she's not in control of like coming and going in and out of consciousness or whatever. But she's completely feels trapped. 10 years of that would be like,
but because she's aware. I think most folks in comas wake up and they're like, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that most folks in comas are not aware.
But your body's lost all its muscle mass, and you do wake up, you can't do shit.
Prison rape.
Yeah, that's true.
Shitty food. Getting shanked. You say the wrong thing and you're shanked.
So you're picking a coma, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'd probably pick that too.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm not even asking you that question. Because I already know the answer.
Okay.
Would you rather have... Well, I'll ask it anyway.
Yeah, you might as well now.
Would you rather have another 10 years with your partner or a one-night stand with your celebrity crush?
I would much rather have another 10 years with you.
Is that Absolutely. A legit question? If that's a legit question that somebody would try to even for fun formulate an answer to, you have no business being a partner of anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Let's see. Wow, some of these are interesting. Would you rather lose your sight or your memories?
Ooh.
I'd rather lose my sight.
I've lost half my sight, so I'm kind of halfway there. So
I wouldn't want to not remember people that I love. That would suck. Again, to me, that seems like an easy choice.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have universal respect or unlimited power?
Respect doesn't feed you.
True that.
I mean, respect is nice, and it's great on a gravestone, but it is shit when you're trying to, hash out a living. I know that sucks. That is a reality of life, but it is a reality of life. I'm sorry.
Would you rather give up air conditioning and heating for the rest of your life or give up the internet for the rest of your life?
I mean, my job requires the internet, so I'd have to give up the heating and air. And I've spent the better part of my life, well, not the better part of my life, but most of my growing up years, we didn't have manufactured heat and air. We had a wood stove and windows that we would open up. So I can deal with none of that. So.
See, I feel like I've spent a better portion of my life without internet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't really have internet until I was in college.
Yeah, me too.
So
I was working at Cox before I had internet in my house.
I think I would rather live without internet.
There you go.
I don't want to live in a world without air conditioning.
I could throw a fan in that window right there, and
It's
it'll
not the
cool
same.
room.
It's not the same. You put fans in rooms like that, you're just. It isn't even about the heat. It's about the humidity.
Yeah.
You're just pushing around all that humid air. It sucks. Would you rather buy 10 things you don't need every time you go shopping, or always forget the one thing you need when you go to the store?
Isn't that how it is anyway?
What kind of question is that?
I mean, you're doing that anyway now. Well, you're doing both things now. I mean, I'll go to the store and I try to have like a list of the things that I gotta need, but inevitably my mother-in-law is going to add stuff to the list, and inevitably one of the 4 things she's added to my list I'm not going to remember. It's just that's how it's going to happen. But I will have shit that wasn't on the list that's going to be in the cart. Anytime I go to the store, that's going to happen. So that's kind of a bullshit question because I got both. As Joe Gatto says, I live a world of hands and not oars.
Hands and not oars. 2 more.
Okay.
Would you rather never be able to go out during the day or never be able to go out at night?
I've never been really a night person. You know, I mean, I'll go out at night, and particularly when I was younger, I'd go out at night with my friends, Richard and Little Tom. A lot of times we would be out and about, but not all the time. We'd just go every now and again. We'd be at bars or whatever, mostly around Halloween. But for the most part, I've always been a day person, so I'd have to be the day person. So,
Yeah, me too.
like if there's one of the things I always worry about, and you know this, one of the things that it weighs heavily on me and I worry about is during shift bid that I'm going to get stuck on an overnight.
It never happens.
And it never happens, and you always say that, but there's, it could happen. I'm stuck on an overnight shift, and I don't think I can deal with that. So
I agree. I'd rather not go out at night if I had to choose. But some of these questions are, like, just to pick one more. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Where's the one I saw that I wanted to read to you?
I'll entertain with a little shay.
Where did it go?
I don't know.
Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you hear?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I can't do dancing.
You'd rather sing along. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll tell you a story. When I was just turned 21, the biggest people that celebrated that was my brother and my cousins, or my brothers and my cousin, because now they had a designated driver because I wasn't drinking. And we would go to this bar out in Suffolk on Main Street called Partners. And one time, this chick decides she, sees me standing at the bar. I'm only drinking soda or water, and I'm never dancing or doing anything. I'm just there to drive. She pulls me out to do a fucking line dance, and I, no lie, knocked down 8 people like dominoes, just down.
Is that where it comes from?
Oh yeah. And 8 people are down, and I just waddle my fat ass back to the bar. I'm like, nope, not doing this again. Every time I've tried to dance, people have gotten hurt.
That's not true.
The one time is when I was dancing with my mom
traumatized
at the wedding. But like we've told the story about how I was dancing with the girl with the Down syndrome.
Nobody got hurt. That was entertaining.
Yeah, my pants dropped down. It's a miracle my whole ass wasn't out in the air. Just freaking hanging out with that would have looked horrible. It's just a bad idea for me to be dancing. I'd rather sing. Now, the few times I've done karaoke singing, especially when I'm drinking, I am not half bad. I can kill some damn Spirit
His
in the
moves
Sky.
aren't bad either. I saw him hump a mic stand one time.
Some Bobby Darin I sang. It was really good. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. PJ said that they're bringing down a karaoke machine. I'm kind of down for that.
I'm definitely going to have to start smoking something. All right, one more.
One more.
Would you rather find a rat in your kitchen or a
Nope.
roach in your bed?
Probably the rat in the kitchen, because
Really?
here's why. The roach in the bed, unless I get that roach, there's no way I'm sleeping in that bed that night.
That's
And that's
exactly
because
right.
of you, not because of me, because of you.
No, that's true.
I'd have to strip the bed. I'd have to flip the mattresses. There's no way that bed's getting slept on until that roach is found. Mouse in the kitchen? Oh, well, shit, we're going to have to lay some traps.
Not a
Maybe
mouse, a rat.
Either way, I'm just laying traps and walking away from it. Sooner or later, the rat gets caught, or we're calling somebody. I'm not responsible for trying to track that rat down and killing it.
Okay.
Worst comes to worst, we ship Mike to Atlanta for a couple weeks. We get a cat. That's it. But
Okay. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We find a rat in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
My ass is not staying in this house. Because
God
that rat
damn it.
can go anywhere. We find a roach in the bed and we can't find it, I'll just sleep in another room.
Yeah, but still, I'd have to hunt through. The rat is going to be easier to find than the roach. And
Yes,
either way,
the rat also
if I
can
can't
find its way into the hallway, into the living room.
But I can call somebody whose job it is to find a rat.
With a roach as well. So I'd rather find a roach in the bed.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, leave a comment.
I mean, I'm assuming that we catch it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But even if we don't catch it, there's another bedroom.
Yeah.
And I'd feel relatively secure that it's not just going to follow me into the other room. I mean, I guess it could.
She's saying this, and I'm telling you, look in my eyes here, I'm telling you, that's bullshit.
Well,
There's
it's not like we
no
find
way.
roaches. We get water bugs every now and then.
Yeah.
That's different than a roach.
And they're always in the bathroom, and she won't go back into that bathroom unless I confirm
It has to be
that
dead
it's
before you
dead.
flush it.
Yes.
But he confirms it, but I don't know if his confirming is accurate or he's just trying to
Like, I would lie to you. Like, I suck at lying.
that
You
kind of
know.
thing. You'd be like, yeah, baby, I got it, don't worry.
Because I'm so good at lying. I'm just saying. I know you think that you'd be badass with the roach and be,
I'm
I
not
can
saying
deal with
I'd be badass.
No.
If I had to choose between the two, I'd rather have the situation with the roach than a situation with a rat.
I think in both situations, she's one of the top tier things that we do in that situation. In the top three, one of them is burning the house down. That's one of the things. That's one of the options. Well, we could just burn the house down and move away.
Well, luckily we have people who come and spray for things, and we don't have those problems. But I'm just telling you, if I had to choose between dealing with a rogue roach and a rogue rat, I would prefer you deal with the rogue roach.
Yeah, well, I guess.
While I wait patiently somewhere else.
Either way, neither one's a great
One of the
situation.
benefits of being married.
And it sucks for me more than anybody else in the house.
It's one of those moments where I say to Kevin, "Oh my God, there's a big spider," or whatever, and I know that he has to act all brave and go in there like some kind of I'm gonna go take care of it. But he moans and complains about it so much that I really think that he's just as afraid of them as I am.
I'm not afraid of them. It's just they're a pain in the ass. Because, much like Spider-Man, they move way faster than I do.
Relative to their size.
I remember one time I went down to Hatteras. This is when they had the camper in Hatteras. And Darlene was drinking with her friend Debbie O'Mine. You haven't met Debbie. But they, as soon as I showed up, got out of the car, they're screaming. There was some sort of water bug in the house, and they were screaming for me to kill it.
Those are the worst.
So I come into the camper. I had just gotten there, and I see the thing, and I go and I stomp on it. Just full weight, boom, stepped on it. I moved my foot, and it moved around. It was scurried away a little bit. It had happened to be in a crack between the two sections. Well, they about shit themselves, screaming even more, which they're like, oh my God, this thing just got stomped on and it survived. So
when I taught in a portable, we used to get them all the time. And I was teaching 3rd grade. And there was one in the room, and around a group of kids, I have to remain calm. I can't be the scaredy cat that I am at home. Even though I really am on the inside, I'm really good at projecting something different. It's like I said to you, oh, I get to go to work and act all happy that I'm there and chipper and smile on my face all day like nothing's bothering me. I'm good at that. So, anyway, this water bug was on the floor, and oh God. So one of the boys, oh, we can get it, the boys. Oh, we'll get it. I'm like, all right. And they went to hit it, and it started flying. And you have never seen a room full of kids duck under desks and scream faster. Like, they didn't realize they could fly. This particular piece of shit water bug or whatever the hell it was. It was so funny that I forgot that we were supposed to be afraid of it. But we used to get wasps in there all the time. Yeah. And, oh, thank God, like, being in the building, knock on wood, we haven't had those problems. But occasionally there will be a water bug in the building as well.
That's gotta suck for Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy doesn't. I doubt Jimmy worries about that. He's not chasing after running water bugs. He's chasing after running children.
I wonder if Troy's got to do that. Like, if somebody calls and say, "Hey, there's this bug running around," if he's got to deal with it.
I mean, we always call custodial services.
I guess so.
Not security. It's not like the water bug's gonna hold you up or something.
They're gonna slap the cuffs on.
They're gonna shank you.
Hey, what are you doing, baby girl?
All right. So this week, like I said, we've got some time off.
We've got time off together, and we're gonna try to do some little adventuring. We're gonna get out and about, load up the car, and go places. And
my adventure this morning was just getting up and getting dressed, and being out of the house before 9 o'clock.
Yeah, but it was nice. As much as we complained about the coffee shop, it was nice to get out. I liked it.
We did have a nice, delicious donut.
Oh my God!
While we looked out over the Chesapeake Bay, so it was kind of nice.
Yeah, we were watching a shipping container ship.
Yeah, nice,
cargo ship.
Beautiful, majestic cargo ship.
Yeah, but still, I mean.
And then we Googled what the difference between nautical miles and regular miles, and how fast cargo ships travel, and what that is in miles per hour. So.
Can you imagine driving to China at 22 miles an hour?
23 miles per hour. Oh, God.
That's it.
No wonder that stuff.
And then you get to thinking about it. Like, those guys on that ship right now, they can see the shoreline. That's all well and good. But in a couple of hours, like right now, the ship we were looking at, they look outside their windows now, or they look out over the rail. There's
that's true of any cruise ship, any naval ship, any
nothing. Ship. There's nothing but water. So if shit goes down, you're super fucked. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Bye, everybody.